A Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder, Chapter 19, Part 1. Hannah started a Suburban, reached for the bag of cookies she always carried in the bag, and tossed them to Andrea. "Have a cookie. You need some chocolate. It'll make you feel better." "I don't need chocolate. What I need is a shrink. It would take a psychiatrist to figure out why I ever agreed to this harebrained, idiotic idea of yours to... Andrea stopped speaking, too rattled to go on. Then she reached into the bag, pulled out a cookie, and bit into it savagely. She chewed, swallowed, and then sighed. "These are really good, Hannah. They're called chocolate-covered cherry delights. Mother gave me the idea for the recipe when she told me how Dad used to always bring her chocolate-covered cherries whenever she was mad at him." Andrea reached into the bag for another and took a huge bite. "Are you absolutely sure we need to go inside the dairy?" "I'm sure." Hannah turned at the end of Max's Access Road and into the Cozy Cow parking lot. "We can't just try to call Bill first?" "He's got his hands full," Hannah answered. She parked in the darkest corner of the lot and turned to her sister. Andrea looked a lot better and her hands weren't shaking anymore. "Relax, Andrea. Max isn't inside. He couldn't be. Betty or one of the other employees would have found him by now. All we're going to do is look for clues in his office." "That's true." Andrea managed a shaky smile. "Then you're coming in with me?" "I'm certainly not going to sit in the parking lot alone, not with a killer on the loose. And it's not like we're actually breaking in or anything. You've got Max's keys." Right. Hannah knew that this wasn't the time to remind Andrea that they'd broken into Max's garage to get those keys. "Grab the flashlights. I don't want to turn on any lights inside. Someone might see them from the road." Andrea reached into the bag for the flashlights. "You're going to owe me a whole batch of cookies for this, Hannah. I'll take the chocolate-covered cherry delights." "Deal." Hannah grabbed a flashlight from Andrea's hand and got out of the truck. The temperature had dropped in the past hour and she shivered as they walked across the parking lot to the rear door. She glanced down at the keys in the glare from the security lights and blessed Max for labeling them. She selected the one marked rear door and was about to insert it in the lock when Andrea gasped. "What?" Hannah turned to look at her sister. "I just thought of something. What if the dairy has a security system? We could set it off." "Are you kidding? A security system for a place this big would cost a bundle. Do you really think that Max would spend that kind of money?" "No, maybe not." Andrea breathed an audible sigh of relief. "Go ahead, Hannah. It was just a thought, that's all." Hannah didn't mention that she thought of the same thing. She'd even glanced at Max's birth date on his driver's license. If there was a keypad by the inside of the rear door, she planned to enter the numbers 2, 3, and 49. She'd read somewhere that most people use their birth dates as a code for their security systems. If bells started to clang and sirens began to wail, they'd hightail it back to a Suburban and leave as fast as they could. The key turned, the door opened, and Hannah stepped in. No keypad, no flashing red lights, no buzzing or clanking or wailing. That was good. It would have been out of character for Max to fork out the extra money for an alarm system, but Hannah hadn't been 100% sure. "Come on, Andrea." Hannah motioned to her sister. "His office is down this hall and to the right." Andrea stepped inside, rather gingerly. "How do you know that?" "I took the grand tour when I was in 6th grade. We came out here on a field trip and Max showed us around. We didn't get to go when I was in grade school." Andrea sounded a little miffed. "I know. They stopped the tours right after my class went through. I think it had something to do with Dale Hoschen. He tripped over a box and it almost fell into a cream wort." Andrea grinned. She was clearly in better spirits now. "I knew there was something I didn't like about Dale." Hannah led the way down the hall and into the main part of the dairy. It was large and cavernous, not a comfortable place to explore at night. Their flashlights were powerful, but the twin beams did nothing to dispel the looming shadows. Hannah was sure that the place would seem very ordinary if they could turn on the overhead lights, but several rows of glass block windows peppered the face of the building, and she didn't want to take the chance that someone on the highway would notice the light. "Are you sure you know where you're going?" Andrea's voice sounded unnaturally loud in the stillness. "I think so," Hannah replied. "There should be another hallway. There it is." Hannah trained the beam of her flashlight on the entrance to the second hallway. Max's office should be the second door on the left. Betty's office is the first door. As they entered the second hallway, Hannah noticed that Betty had posted the delivery schedules on the corkboard right outside her door. The drivers' names were listed and the routes were marked with the times of each delivery. Ron's name was still on his route. Betty must be waiting for instructions from Max before she changed the name of the driver. Max's office was right where Hannah remembered, and it was marked with a brass nameplate on the door. Hannah opened the door, stepped inside, and played the beam of her flashlight over the walls. There were no outside windows. If they closed the door behind them, they could turn on the lights. "Come in and shut the door," Hannah called out to her sister. Andrea stepped in quickly and shut the door. "Good. It's creepy out there," Hannah agreed. Her knees were still shaking slightly, but she decided to make light of it for her sister's benefit. "That's only because it's so big and dark. You can turn on the lights. There's probably a switch right by the door." "Are you sure?" Andrea sounded very nervous. "I'm positive. I checked and there aren't any windows. No one will notice the light if we keep the door closed." Andrea located the wall switch, and a moment later, bright light flooded down from an overhead fixture. Both sisters breathed a sigh of relief as they gazed around the room. Max's office was huge, and it was tastefully decorated with dark grey wall-to-wall carpeting and pale yellow grass cloth on the walls. There were several framed prints of flowers hanging in strategic positions, and the upholstered furniture, done in a striped pattern of muted coral, dark green and gold, picked up the colors from the flower prints. "It's a nice color combination," Andrea commented. "The only thing that doesn't match is Max's desk chair." Hannah glanced at the old brown leather swivel chair that sat behind the modern executive-style desk. I guess Max was going for comfort, not style. Two smaller chairs faced the front of the desk for visitors, and there was a small round table between them. A conversational grouping was arranged at the side of the room, and there were 3 doors. The one they'd just entered, another that Hannah assumed connected to Betty's office, and a rough-hewn antique door in the center of the back wall. "What's that door?" Andrea pointed to the only door that didn't match the decor. "That leads to the old dairy," Hannah told her. "The one in the picture that Max's mother painted. It's the original door, and Max told us about it when we took the tour. He said the old dairy was a landmark, and he decided to preserve it, even though it cost more money to incorporate it into his expansion plans. He called it his contribution to the history of this area." Andrea laughed. "And you bought it?" "Bought what?" "Max didn't keep the old dairy intact out of the goodness of his heart. He got a huge tax break for preserving a historical landmark. All you have to do is connect one of the original walls to the new construction." "I guess I shouldn't be surprised." Hannah just shook her head. "Everyone's always said that Max is a shrewd businessman." Andrea reached down to touch the velvety carpet. "Max must have spent some of the money he saved to buy this carpet. It's the deepest pile they make, and it's just like walking on pillows. I wanted it for our bedroom, but I decided that it would be too hard to keep up. It marks every time you step on it. It's hideously expensive too. For the price, you'd think they could make something that's easier to care for." Hannah spotted a leather-bound appointment book on the credenza near the door, and she walked over to page through it. Wednesday's date was marked TSB Convention. She recognized Betty's handwriting. There was another note at the top, scrawled in what she assumed was Max's untidy hand. It said, "Meet W."